What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Immense Toxic or Toxic Wolf 331, back at it with another review. And today we are continuing our Wolfman review series, if you couldn't tell by the hat. And we are reviewing Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. And this is, of course, building up to the new Leo and Elmo film coming out on Friday, but I'm seeing it Thursday. But before we get into the actual beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free, and number two, also maybe able to easy back them recommended to more people, and maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman down below. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all. Not. Well, with that being said, let's just give a quick thoughts and let's get right into let's give a quick thought synopsis, shall we? So transition into Zamia.
Lawrence Stewart Talbot is plagued by a physical oddity that turns him into a crazed werewolf after sundown. His desire to rid himself of this ailment leads him to the castle owned by mad scientist Dr. Frankenstein. Frankenstein, it turns out, is now dead, yet Talbot believes that the scientist's daughter, Baroness Elsa Frankenstein, can help him. However, his quest to right himself puts him on a collision course with Frankenstein's monster.
Alright, so that's going to be said about most of the MonsterVerse movies, the old gray black and white monster movies. I've watched these countless times, so with that being said, let's just get into the actual review itself. Alright, so starting off with the good, we always start off with the good here, and I loved the first Wolfman movie. And first good I gotta talk about in here is how it works as a direct sequel to The Wolfman and Bride of Frankenstein. So this fits perfectly in the timeline, because after this movie, all I'll say is the timeline gets kind of wonky with these gray, black, and white movies, and this works perfectly as a direct follow-up to Wolfman, more particularly. I think you can watch those two as a 1-2 punch, and it would be perfect. And also, it's a really good follow-up to Bride of Frankenstein as well. Alright, next thing to talk about in here is the acting. I think the acting in here is really, really good. This follows, of course, the first film. And Lon Chaney Jr. goes a little bit more unhinged this time around, where he's fully aware of his transformation into the werewolf, and he delivers a really good performance in here. This one, you also have Bela
Lugosi in here playing Frankenstein's monster, which is very different from Dracula. I'm very surprised he didn't play Dracula, but nope, he plays Frankenstein here. He does good, but not as good as Boris Karloff.
The next thing I have in here is the character development for Mileva and Frank from the first film. So, the Mileva is the gypsy woman from the first film, and she gets a lot more character development in here, along with Frank, who, of course, is the main love interest's husband from the first film of Lawrence Talbot. So, and they both get really good things to do in here, so where you do like their characters quite a bit, and come around to enjoy them. Another good in here I have is the new edition of Frankenstein's daughter, Victor Frankenstein. Just heard something in the distance. Sorry, it's late at night. But Victor Frankenstein's daughter, usually that sounds like a bad idea on paper when you introduce like a legacy character's daughter. But this time around, they actually use her quite well, and she was a nice new addition to the film. Two more things as well. The music in here, also really good. It's the same music from the first film and added into this one, so yeah. And also the big finale is my final positive of the movie. I loved the actual confrontation we got between the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster at the end of this movie. Now we move on to the mixed aspects of the film, where there's aspects that I'm unsure about, and I'm very 50-50 on. And starting off with the mixed I have is Frankenstein monster character in this. I don't know. There's like just little bits and pieces where he's... How do I say this? he's kind of like, he starts in friendship with Lawrence Talbot, not the Wolfman, but Lawrence Talbot at the beginning of the film. But then later on, it comes to, it just explodes out of nowhere, and they're no friends anymore. It's just very weird. Another mix I have in here is the makeup effects. I mean, the Wolfman is fine, it still looks good. But, I mean, for Frankenstein's monster, I don't know, it just did not look as good as Boris Karloff's makeup, so there's that. Now, we move on to the bad, and, if you thought the first movie's ending was abrupt, I feel like it was a little abrupt, not that too much abrupt. I think the story was told where it needed to be told. As for this one,
I thought it ended so abruptly just when the movie was getting really intense with this confrontation between the Wolfman and Frankenstein, but it just ends instead, which is really annoying.
Final bad I have in here is the character of Vazik. So he's the little bartender in this movie, and oh my goodness, I didn't realize how much of a jerk he was. I think he was overbearingly jerkish in this film. Sorry, it turned me off a bit, and I was going like, this guy's a really jerk. I want him to get socked in the face in this movie. I want him to get because he was so annoying, and he's just, I don't know. It's just, he got overbearingly, very rude, and I don't know, I just didn't like that. It was probably intentional. This probably should have gone into the mixed aspects, but anyways, that is just my thoughts on Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. With that being said, let's bring out the toxic meter, and I will give this, not toxic, an A-, and I think it's a step down from the Wolfman, but it's still a really good sequel, a direct sequel at that. And I would recommend you check it out if you love these MonsterVerse movies and haven't seen this one. But with that being said, guys, do feel free to comment your thoughts as well, as I said before. And I'll see y'all next one, everybody. Peace.